I want you to think about the one light, the one hope. And I want to take you back about 5 years ago. This was in a mall, I'll call it Stonebriar Mall. It was up north. And in the mall, they had a Santa booth like all great malls do. And Santa Mark was there. And Santa Mark was a young man. He was in his early 30s, but he was a big man. And he had a big white beard that fit him perfectly. He was matched. He took great pride in it. And he was there and he was waiting, and all of a sudden, this young boy came. And this young boy went on his lap. And he says, "And what can I do for you, my son?" And the little boy looked at him. And he said, "Santa, can you help my sister? You see, she's in the hospital. And she's not doing well. And the only thing she wants is for you to help her." And Mark, not knowing what to do, he said, "Well, son, we'll see what we can do there. Can you please tell me, what would you like for Christmas?" So the little boy told him again, "I would like you to come and visit my sister." And he says, "But what would you like?" And the little boy gave in and he gave him some toys. And so the little boy stepped off of Santa's lap, and at that moment, the grandmother who had brought the little child there came up and said, "His sister Sarah is in the hospital. And Sarah has leukemia, and it doesn't look as if she'll make it through the holidays." He said, "If you have anything in your heart, could you please come to our home and visit her and give her this one last gift?" And Santa said, "Please talk to one of my elves and leave the information." So Santa Mark went and he did his day, but he couldn't get this out of his mind. It was there. And Santa Mark, at the end of the day, went to the elves and he says, "Give me the information." And he drove over to Sarah's house. And he knocked on the door, and the mother, who hadn't seen him before, just smiled. And she was taken in. And right there, little Sarah, she lit up. And with all the IVs in her, she was running. She wanted to pull it out, but Santa ran to her and embraced this little girl, just hugged her, took her into his heart. And they talked, and the family watched. And Santa looked at her and said, "You have one thing to do, my child, and that is to see yourself well, because I want to see you next year." And so Santa asked the mother, "Could I pray?" And so mother said, yes. So Santa did a prayer. And in the end, they all held hands, and they sang Silent Night. And the room was filled. And Santa left. As he left, he thought about his son, who was 9 as well, and how he would have wished someone would have done this for him. A year later, Santa Mark was at the mall again. He'd gone through about 8 or 9 days, and this little girl comes running up, jumps on his lap, and says, "Santa, Santa, do you remember me?" And he says, "Yes, I do," because Santas remember everyone. He said, "Yes, I do remember you." He says, "I'm Sarah. I was the girl in the hospital. And I'm all well." Off on the side was the mother and the grandmother like this, giving the sign, because Santa's act that day gave this child the hope, the dream to heal themselves. There was one hope that day. It was that there would be a revolution, and that the mind of God would come into that child, that the mind of God would take over, that the mind of God would heal. And you see, what we're celebrating this season, when we say these words, Merry Christmas, what does it mean? We get lost in this idea of happy holidays and all this, but let's examine, what do we mean by Merry Christmas? Merry means to celebrate, to joyfully, to be happy, right? Christmas, break it down. Christmas is Latin. Christ means the anointed one. It is something that is powerful, that is within. And so when Jesus came into the world, he wasn't Jesus the Christ. He was Jesus of Nazareth, or Jesus the son of Joseph. And later on, after he had done these works, they labeled him, they gave him the title, the Christ. And then Jesus in his work said, "This I do and you can do or more, for we are all children of God. Therefore, we are all the Christ." Mass means to celebrate. So when you're looking at someone and you say, "Merry Christmas," you're saying, "I am celebrating the God in me and I see the God in you." So when you take these ideas and you take them into our world and you hear songs like Silent Night, where there's no monkey chatter, there's just oneness. Holy Night, meaning the focus that we have is on the holiness of life, the holiness within ourselves. We go into, remember the song, "O Holy Night, the light is brightly shining." It's not a star. It's the infinite light of the divine that we know radiates through everywhere, that's desiring to come out and burst from our own heart. You see, we can get all the gifts we could possibly imagine. We can give all the gifts that you could possibly fill your wish list with, and it will mean nothing. Because that's an external idea. What is the eternal idea within you calling forth? It's probably saying something like this: "I accept you just as you are. Everything in your life that you have done to this very point has been perfect. There's nothing you need to regret. There's nothing you need to be ashamed of. There is no sin. For sin is not real in the eyes of God, because God doesn't judge. If God is not judging, then there's only us judging ourselves. And so when we free ourselves of that, when we see the light within us, we no longer have to carry that burden with us the rest of our lives. So I'm inviting you, whatever is going on with you right now, to let it just fall away from you. Let it just go onto the ground, into the carpet, and underneath the carpet, I have planted special goblins, and they're going to grab all this stuff, they're going to grab it and grab it and grab it, and they're going to take it and they're going to fly it over a volcano. And they're going to drop it all in the volcano, and when it hits, it just melts in the lava. That easy. There doesn't need to be any more than that. You see, if we take anything with us going forward, it's our choice. We have the right now to choose to let go. We have the right to choose to see new life. See, Silent Night means it's a whole new light. Trans-Siberian Orchestra does a song, "Old City Bar." I cannot help but get emotional every time I hear that song. Bring on the cheer, folks. But in that song, there's this idea, how can we make this Christmas thing last? That's really the key. That's what we talk about every Sunday, every day that we get together at Agape, is how do we see the God? I'm going to share you the simplest way is, when you look at anyone in this room, you want to see Christ. When you look in the mirror the first thing in the morning, you want to see the Christ. Because if you know that that person is the Christ, you're going to treat them with love. You're going to treat them in acceptance and in non-judgment. But most importantly, when you look in the mirror and you see the eyes of God looking back at you, and you accept you as you are without judgment, realizing that you're on an eternal path, your heart opens. Remember the story of the Grinch? How on that day his heart finally opened. It took everything and it just opened and it kept opening and it kept opening. That's what the unfoldment of our life is. It's the opening of our heart. It's opening ourselves to this idea of one. One heart, one mind, one love. Perfect right now in this moment. In this very moment, at this very moment, there is nothing that needs to be changed. Just feel it. There's nothing you desire other than being present here. You're feeling an energy. This energy is not only in me, this energy is radiating from everyone here, and it's collectively gathering, and it's building, and it's going to continue to build. And as it builds, we feel the connection, we feel the oneness. We no longer have that feeling of being alone. See, one of the traditions that Gene and I have is we go see Trans-Siberian Orchestra every year. And the reason, it's not because we love the music, we do, but it's the feeling of the energy that is created. You see, because all we want to do is ever be a part of an energy that makes us feel as one. But we realize and accept that we can't feel that energy because they're doing it. We go to that event and we bring ourselves open, knowing that we're creating the experience. It's through our perspective. So you have a blue band on. That blue band says, I am committed to my personal transformation. I am committed to seeing the Christ in myself. I am committed to seeing the Christ in others. I am committed to giving myself a break. I am committed to being gentle with myself. I am committed to expand and to grow and to experience life in its fullness. I'm expanded and committed to grow in abundance, because as I become more abundant, I share that abundance and I create a more infinite flow so that more people can have their basic needs met, so they can go on this spiritual journey and find the oneness that is what we call Christmas. And Christmas is every day. It's every moment of every day. And Christmas starts now. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.